Hi there, and welcome to this lesson on Pure Mathematics 2. And in this lesson, we're on Chapter 1 and 1.2, Dividing Polynomials, also sometimes called algebraic division. Now, there are two standard methods for dividing one polynomial by another, and we're talking about something like this: x cubed plus 2x squared minus 17x plus 6 divided by x minus 3. And you'll always see these questions written as a fraction. The first method uses the same process as long division, and this is the method that you'll see in most textbooks. I'm not a big fan of it, probably because I'm not a big fan of long division. There is a second method, which I think is slightly easier and slightly quicker when you get the hang of it. So if you had, say, with numbers 23 divided by 5 or 23 over 5 as a fraction, they mean the same thing. You could write that as 23 is equal to 5 times by 4 plus 3, where 4 is called the quotient and 3 is called the remainder. Or 23 divided by 4 or 5 is equal to 4 remainder 3. Now that idea you can use to carry out algebraic division. So if you had x cubed plus 2x squared minus 17x plus 6 divided by x minus 3, then you can write that as the numerator equals the denominator, x minus 3, times by something. And you're trying to work out what that something is. And the way you do it is you start with the highest power of x. So x cubed is the highest power. That's what we want to get. And you ask yourself how you'll get it. So we've got x in this bracket, times by something in this bracket has to give us x cubed. Well, x times by x squared. That'll give us x cubed. It's a good idea with these things just to keep track of what you've done. So we've done x times by x squared. That's given us the x cubed that we want. That's the x cubes finished with. Now we move on to the x squareds. Plus 2x squared is what we want. And now we look at what we've got already. Well, what we've got already for the x squareds is minus 3 times by x squared. And that would give us minus 3x squared. It's not what we want. We want plus 2x squared. So you need to think, well, how will I adjust this? Well, if I add 5x squared, I'll have minus 3x plus 5x squared. That'll give me the plus 2x squared that I want. So I want to add 5x squared. And now you need to think, well, how can I do that? X times by what would give me plus 5x squared? Well, x times by plus 5x. That would give me plus 5x squared. Now that makes the x squareds right. I've got minus 3x squared. I've now got plus 5x squared. That gives me the 2x squared that I want. So we finished with them. Now you move on to the x's. Minus 17x is what I want. First of all, you just look at what you've got already. Well, what you've got already is minus 3 times by the 5x. That gives me minus 15x. That's nearly what I want, but not quite. I need to take away another 2x, and then I'll have minus 17x. And then you just ask yourself, well, how can I get the minus 2x? X times by what would give me minus 2x? Well, x times by minus 2 gives me minus 2x. That makes the x's right. The last thing you need to do is look at the number. So the number that I want, the constant that I want, is plus 6. You look at what you've got. Well, I've got minus 3 times by minus 2. Minus 3 times minus 2 is plus 6, which is exactly what I want, which means for this question, there is no remainder. X minus 3 goes into x cubed plus 2x squared minus 17x plus 6 perfectly. It goes into it that many times. So that would be the answer. And x squared plus 5x minus 2 is the quotient in this case. Okay, example 2. Have a go at doing this one yourself. So the first thing you do is just write it down like this. 4x to the 4 minus 17x squared plus 4 is equal to 2x plus 1 times by something. Now have a go. You'll notice when you're doing it, first of all, you do the x to the 4 term, work out what you've got to do here. Then you'll do the x cubed term. So be careful, because there are no x cubes at all. So when I do this, I want to make sure I don't get any. I do want some x squareds, but then I don't want any x's. So it's a little bit more fiddly than the last question, but you do use exactly the same method. I'll let you have a go at doing it first. So pause the video, have a go, and then come back to me when you're ready. Okay, let's have a look at this. So we start with the highest power. The highest power in this question is the x to the 4s. So we want 4x to the 4. 2x times by what would give me 4x to the 4? Well, 2x times by 2x cubed. That would give me 4x to the 4, which is what I want. So that's the x to the 4 sorted. I don't need to do any more work with them at all. Then we move on to the x cubes. Now, if you look on the left-hand side here, there aren't any x cubes. I don't want any. You have a look at what you've got. Well, I've got 1 times by 2x cubed. So I've got plus 2x cubed. But I don't want those because I don't want any. That means I need to take away 2x cubed. 2x cubed, take away 2x cubed will mean I've got none. And then you just need to ask yourself, well, how am I going to get minus 2x cubed? 2x times by what would give me minus 2x cubed? Well, 2x times by minus x squared. That would give me the minus 2x cubed. Now the 2x cubes are sorted. I haven't got any on the left-hand side, and I've made sure I'm not going to get any either here on the right-hand side. Then we move on to the x squared term. So minus 17x squared, that's what I want. First of all, you look at what you've already got. Well, I've got 1 times by minus x squared. So I've got minus x squared. I want minus 17x squared, so I need to take away another 16x squared. And then I'll have minus 17x squared. And then you say, well, how can I get this minus 16x squared? 2x times by what would give me minus 16x squared? Well, 2x times by minus 8x. That would give me the minus 16x squared. Now the x squareds are right. I want minus 17x squared. I've got minus 1, minus 16. I've got minus 17x squared. Now we move on to the x term. And again, it's a confusing question, this one. There are no x's on the left-hand side. So I don't want to get any. I need to look at what I have got. Well, I've got 1 times by the minus 8x. 1 times by minus 8x, that will give me minus 8x. Now, I don't want minus 8x. I don't want any x's at all. So I need to cancel those out. So what I'll need to do is add on 8x. And then I'll have minus 8x plus the 8x. I won't have any at all. And then the last thing you need to do is say, well, how am I going to get that plus 8x? 2x times by what would give me the plus 8x? Well, 2x times by 4. That would give me plus 8x. Now the x's are sorted. On the left-hand side, I haven't got any. On the right-hand side, I'm going to get minus 8 plus 8, so I won't get any there either. The last thing to do is look at the constant. So on the left-hand side, I've got plus 4. On the right-hand side, I've got plus 1 times by plus 4, which gives me plus 4, which is exactly what I want. So like in the first question, there's no remainder. If I divide this by 2x plus 1, it goes perfectly. And with these questions, if you know you have a factor, it's when you get to this number at the end that you really know whether you've done it right or whether you've done it wrong. So if you know 2x plus 1 goes in perfectly without a remainder, then the number should always work perfectly. 1 times 4 gives me the plus 4. So that'll be the answer. Okay, the last example, x cubed plus x squared minus 7 divided by x minus 3. Okay, again, I'll let you have a go at this first. So that's the way you want to write it down. X cubed plus x squared minus 7 is equal to x minus 3 times by something. Starting with the x cubed term, then the x squared term. There are no x's, so be careful on that term. But have a go yourself. Pause the video, see if you can do this, and then come back to me when you're ready. Okay, let's have a look. So as always, we start with the highest power, the x cubed term, and we ask ourselves how we can get that. X times by what would give me x cubed? Well, x times by x squared, that would give me x cubed. So x times x squared gives me the x cubed. I'll just keep track of what I'm doing. That's the x cubed sorted. Now I move on to the x squared term. So plus x squared is what I want. I look at what I've got already. Well, I've got minus 3 times by x squared. That gives me the minus 3x squared here. Now I want plus 1x squared. I've got minus 3x squared. So I need to think, how do I need to adjust that? Well, I need to add 4x squared. Minus 3x squared plus 4x squared, that would give me plus 1x squared. And then you ask, how can I get the plus 4x squared? X times by what would give me plus 4x squared? Well, x times by 4x, that would give me the plus 4x squared. That's the x squared sorted. Now we move on to the x term. This is the confusing one because there aren't any x's, so I don't want any. I need to look at what I have got. Well, I've got minus 3 times 4x, so I've got minus 12x. But I don't want those because I don't want any x's. That means I need to add 12x to cancel those out so that I won't have any. And then you think, well, how can I get plus 12x? X times by what would give me plus 12x? Well, x times by plus 12. That would give me plus 12x. That makes the x's right. And then last of all, you look at the numbers. Now, I want minus 7. That's what I want. What I've got is minus 3 times by 12. Minus 3 times by 12 is minus 36. Now, that's not what I want. I want minus 7. So the last thing I need to do is just think, well, how do I adjust that? I've got minus 36, but I want minus 7. I need to add 29. Minus 36 plus 29, that would give me minus 7. Now, in this question, x minus 3 doesn't go perfectly into the top. It goes that many times. The plus 29 that we get at the very end there, that is the remainder. So x minus 3 goes into it that many times, x squared plus 4x plus 12 times, with a remainder of 29. And that's how you'd write down the answer. Yes, just to quickly remind you, that's called the quotient. The 29 is called the remainder. Okay, that does get us to the end of the lesson. If you've got the textbook, then turn to page 5 and have a go at exercise 1B. Thanks very much for listening, and cheerio.